Hey everyone, welcome to the next edition of Rebel Tribe. I'm Melodian Whiteley, and today's guest is Beverly Puckett. Beverly has been creating memory albums using creative memories since 1988, I think. And she chose them because they're the best on the market. So today we're going to talk to her a little bit about the whole process of creating memory albums and why that's a big thing. Because I'll be honest, I don't do it because I don't get it. But she has convinced me that maybe I need to change my thought process on that. So let's have a chit chat with Beverly about the whole process of memory albums. And if you're like me and the whole thought of that just scares you to death, afterwards she'll tell you how you can hire her to do it for you. Hey, Beverly.
Hi there, Melodian.
Well, I have to admit, when I first met you and I was like, okay, you create scrapbooks and cards. Yay. Okay. Because I'll be the first one to admit, being military for 20 years, having stuff like that to drag around from duty station to duty station to duty station was just like, yeah, I don't have time for that. I don't have weight limit for that. We took essentials and and now, yes, when I think it hit me hardest this past May when my granddaughter graduated, my oldest granddaughter, and I gave her money so she could, for college or whatever. But the gift of the event was the other grandma who brought pictures of her kindergarten graduation and this graduation and her high school, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't have any of those anymore. I don't even know where they are. That's, and it really just hit me that all of these things in my life, in my kids' lives and my grandkids' lives, and I don't have those anymore. I have the memories, but I don't have anything to hang on to. And it's like, ooh. And then I met you again the second time. I was like, okay, I need to find out more about what you do. So tell us, why is scrapbooking? I remember when I was younger, it seemed to be a thing, and then it seemed to kind of die away a little bit. So why is it making a comeback? It seems to me.
Well, when it was first popular, which was about 25 years ago, I went to this one particular group that met monthly, and there would be 30 people there. And that same group, I have moved 4 times to now my church, and we're lucky if we have 10. But and it has changed, because then it was scrapbooking, now it's scrapbooking or card making. And some of the people do both. Some of them only do card making, some of them only do scrapbooking. COVID helped bring it back around. People had so much time, and they had time to clean their houses and find all those photos and bring it back, all those memories. And especially if they lost loved ones during COVID, it really hit hard. They needed those memories. And I have found that, you might think that women are the only ones that look at these albums, but no, my husband loves looking at the albums I do. It just puts it in your hands instead of on your phone or instead of on your laptop. You can touch it, you can feel it. You tend to have a picture plus a memory written down, and so you can recall that memory. And typically when you look on your computer or your phone, you are just looking at photos. And especially if you're sharing it with someone else, if you're not standing or sitting there telling the story, they don't get it. They don't know the backstory on that. So that's why I think it's made a comeback.
Well, I do see the value in having physical copies, because about 2 years ago, I sent my phone to the bottom of the river and lost years worth of photos that were on it. So I get that. But why isn't that good enough? Because I remember when my mom passed, we were cleaning out her house and found just this big box full of old photos and old photo albums, and I didn't have time to sort through them because it was just one great big box of loose photos and stuff. So I gave them to my sister, and she said she was going to sort through them. So I mean, why isn't that, that's good enough?
Well, I tend to also do genealogy. So I like hooking the pictures to the family tree. And when you do run across or inherit a box of photos where you don't know who everybody is in it, the nice thing now is you can digitally load those, send them out to relatives, and a lot of times someone's going to know who those people are. They may even have the stories that go with them. And so there's a way to potentially make something of a scrapbook. And maybe you only do one generation. Maybe right now, what's important for you is something for your kids or something for your grandkids, and just start there. I do the This Is Your Life albums for people from birth on up. And a lot of times those get used for significant birthday parties, 80th, 90th, 100th birthdays. Those same albums are always ending up being shown at a funeral or a celebration of life. So that they get used more than once. They get passed down in a family. Generally, they get passed down to the person that they know will keep passing them down. I know I'm doing that in my family. I have no natural children of my own, but I already know which of my brothers is going to get the albums because he's taking on the genealogy. He knows where to pass it on from there.
So there are different kinds of scrapbooks, because when I think of scrapbook, I just think of these binders with cutesy little photos in them, and cutesy little whatever things around them, and I don't, like I said, I'm not into the scrapbooking thing. So
I understand. It used to be stickers were the big thing, and I almost never do stickers. I do die cuts, which are a lot more natural. But yes, This Is Your Life type albums. I do veterans albums, which I discount my rates on that. I've done tons of travel albums. I've done graduation albums. I did one series that started out as one album for each of the 4 years of high school, and it turned into 7 albums because the girl was in cheer, and then cheer went to nationals, and then her senior year blew out. It was so big we needed 2 albums. And the cool thing was, I got invited to the graduation party, but the cool thing was when she opened up those albums, all of her friends were there, and they were all saying, "There I am, there I am, there I am." And the guys, especially, they were just tickled. It was just so cool to see all them. And I recognized all them because I had put their pictures in those albums. I also do gift albums for like anniversaries, weddings, sports albums. Oh boy, I love doing sports albums. My 3 stepchildren were all in travel teams all over the US. And so they now have albums for themselves that have all those sports memories. And their dad coached them a lot too. So that made it real special for them. But those are just some of the examples of albums I do. Baby albums, I didn't even think about that. Pet albums, oh yes, pet albums for your dog, for your cat. I have given pet albums to my daughter when her dogs pass away, so that she's got albums. She may cry a lot with them, but she's glad she's got them.
Okay, so for people who want to do their own, how hard is it to create a scrapbook? I just look at it and go, yeah, I'll just call Beverly when I need one.
Well, thank you.
I'm not crafty. Okay.
It is not hard. And once a month, I run a scrapbooking group in Northwest Arkansas that costs $2 for 7 hours. And my partner and I that teach it, another girlfriend who's scrapbooked as long as I have, we teach free, and we help people get on track for what they want to do, help them pick what size album they want to do. We generally start them by organizing their photographs. because one of the things I was taught in Creative Memories is you probably got 5 shots of the same thing, the same event. You know what? There's one best. Use that, throw the other ones out. And so that's the kind of thing we start with, and then we build from there. And like I said, we teach, everybody gets an 8-foot table. There's lots of camaraderie. Everybody gives ideas to everybody else. And we go for 7 hours. You can, the first time you go, it's free. So you can find out if it's what you want to do. You can see what other people do and say, oh, that's not for me. Or, yeah, you know, that doesn't look that hard. So I bring, my girlfriend and I bring all the equipment. So you don't have to buy a lot of equipment. That's one thing that people used to get upset about, that kind of crafting, was they felt under pressure to buy a lot of equipment, and they didn't always have the money to do that. We bring the equipment. They don't need to bring equipment.
That was actually going to be my next question, as to whether or not it was an expensive hobby, because I know some hobbies can cost a fair amount of money depending on how in depth you get into it.
Yes, it doesn't have to be. Now, I use Creative Memories albums, which tend to be the most expensive, but they last forever. And you don't have to use that quality album, especially if it's one you think might get thrown out in 1 or 2 generations. I have sources for people of less expensive scrapbooking materials. The one thing I always emphasize for them, and most people take my advice, is use Creative Memories adhesives, because I have one album that I did for my husband's retirement that has a very thick, like I'd say 3/4 of an inch thick brass plaque in on one of the pages. It's a round circle about 3 inches in diameter, and it's held up in there by adhesives, and that scrapbook is standing up, so it would have a real intention, you know, a real possibility of falling off the page with gravity. It's still there. It's still there in that album. So I tell people, even if you're not going to buy anything else from me, buy the adhesives.
Okay. All right. So for those of us who, like I said, cringe at the thought of having to do that, because it's just, like I said, I am not an artsy crafty person. Okay. I will occasionally, I have a friend who does a painting thing, and I occasionally go to her painting classes only if she's painting something that really intrigues me, but I'm just not, that's just not my thing. Okay. But after listening to you talk, I'm sitting here going, oh man, I had a little dog that was 23 years old when he died. I would love to have an album with him, and it never occurred to me. And when my husband retires, we've been planning to drive Route 66 from beginning to end. We've been on all of it.
Fun.
Bits and pieces. We've been on all of it in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
We are determined to drive the whole thing from beginning to end, you know,
Great.
one trip. So I'm thinking that'd make a fun album for the kiddos who don't, for my grandkids who like Route 66. What's the fascination? We don't get it.
Yeah.
So,
I have some Route 66 stuff, if you decide you want an album with that. But yeah, dog albums, cat albums, I love doing those. You can look back, and especially if you have them from the time your dog was a puppy on up, or whatever age the dog was when you got it. I mean, it's nice to show the growth, and just be able to look at that and have the memories.
I just became a new Chihuahua mom, so maybe. We just added. Is it a puppy? Yes, we just added 2 Chihuahua puppies to the. Don't ask me what I was thinking, because it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't had a puppy in a long time. I've had dogs. I mean, I have dogs, but they've always been older dogs from the shelter. But something about these 2 little guys just caught my heart, and so they're here now, and I'm just looking at them going, it's like having 2-year-olds in the house again. I had forgotten how fun that is.
I just I just overheard that same comment from somebody else that they bought a puppy and now it's like they have a 2-year-old.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they are adorable, so that might be fun. So are all your albums like the same size, or they're different types, different sizes, different what?
Creative Memories has two main sizes, 8 by 8 inches and 12 by 12 inches. But I have some old albums that have never been used that are, one is 5 by 7. I have a couple of 7 by 7s. And there are other companies that make 8.5 by 11s that I have access to. In fact, I have 2 or 3 of those available. So the size definitely varies. And usually the size, the project, the number of photos helps determine the size of the album.
So I've heard that preserving photos is like a big deal. Like you have to do certain glues and certain papers
Yep.
and blah blah
Yep.
blah. Is that true? I can't
That
just
is
run to
true.
Walmart and grab a photo album and some Elmer's glue and do my thing.
Please don't. And don't use glue sticks. Here's what you need. You need to do acid-free paper, acid-free adhesives, acid-free pages that you're mounting to, and acid-free protectors, which are usually plastic, but there are acid-free and non-acid-free protectors. There's something else that Creative Memories does with their paper and their pages, the pages that you actually mount the photos on, that goes beyond acid free, and that is lignin free. And what it does is make it so that if you put, let's say you put a greeting card from Hallmark in the album, because it's a really special one, and it is not acid free, then whatever else you put on that page, if the page is lignin free as well as acid free, the acid from the Hallmark card will not travel to those other items on that same page, which is really cool. I have albums going back to 1995. I have no yellowing of pages. I have no acid traveling from one item to another on a page. I can go back to any of those albums and there's just no problems with it. That does preserve it. And like I said, I do genealogies. I have family trees in a lot of the albums that I've done for people. And that's all done on acid-free, lignin-free paper. And even if that's the only thing that my brother keeps, when I pass some of these down to him, that's going to be okay with me because he's doing the genealogy of my family and he knows the county records place to turn everything over to. They want the Franklin County records in Ohio. They want those records of families that grew and lived in Franklin County. And so somebody's going to keep those records, I hope.
Well, I didn't even think about the genealogy, but yeah, my aunt, before she passed, she was the last one after my dad passed, and she did send me like a chart with an outline of the family tree and some photos of because
Good.
my grandmother Baba had like 15 kids, I think. So yeah, so I've got,
my goodness.
yeah, they came over from Czechoslovakia, so big families over there.
Wow.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
Even if all I did for you would be a family tree, that would be something that could be framed all by itself.
ooh, sweet.
Yeah.
I may be calling you on that one. I got to go find it. I put it up. Now I have to remember where I put it because it was very
Okay.
special to me. Because yeah, and she's got a picture of her with all my uncles And I
Oh,
would like to have
neat.
that. That would be very nice. Thank you. Okay, so special paper, special ink, special everything. Like I said, I hadn't heard
Yeah.
that. Okay. So don't go to Walmart, folks. Go to Beverly.
Yeah. And I did think of two other kinds of albums that I've done. I have done albums for nonprofits. Generally, it means they've got an angel in the group that has been able to afford to pay for that because the nonprofit itself generally doesn't pay for it. And I have done train albums that I did for one big a nonprofit here in Bella Vista, but I also have my own train albums that are going to go to train museums in the United States, depending on the particular albums, because I've got quite a collection of certain engines. And so those will go to different places than the other ones that are just general train albums.
Now, I heard you mention when we started that some of the people that come to your classes do cards. Is that a
Oh,
big thing?
yes.
Is that a big
Yes,
thing?
that's become a bigger thing these days than scrapbooking. I am doing a card making event in October and one in November at a new store. It's called Hiwassee Mercantile. And so I'm giving classes there, and it's each person only pays $5 to make 2 cards. And so then they can send those wherever, give them to whoever. And I've got like 10 different choices for them to choose from, and they can make as many as they want to pay for. And I teach them how to do it.
That to me is a little more of a, I would be more interested in that, I think, than the scrapbooking, because I love sending out, I hate going to like Hallmark or Walmart or wherever and buying a box of cards and knowing that everybody's going to get the exact same card, or
Yep.
just like, I don't like that. Or even for
Yeah.
birthdays, when you're not buying them by the box, there's, granted there's a pretty wide selection, but I can never seem to find one that says exactly what I want it to say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do a lot of card creation on Canva, but I've seen yours, and I have to admit they're gorgeous. They're beautiful.
Well, thank you.
And I
Well, I'll have
wondered,
to send you an invitation.
yeah, I wondered how hard that was, because it's like,
It's not.
that might be something I could possibly learn to do.
Yeah. Again, I provide the equipment, and you've got a sample card to work from. And some people do their cards exactly the same way, and other people are more creative and take my idea and then just go beyond that for their own cards. But the recipients of handmade cards really appreciate a handmade card. And I have a friend of mine in her 90s recently passed away. And when I went to the home for the reception after the celebration of life, I walked in, and there confronting me was a wall full of cards I had sent her. I mean, and now I'm becoming friends with her daughter, and her daughter is going through a box of cards that I had sent Dee, and she goes through all those cards and cries. She misses her mom, but she can relive things about her mom through those cards.
So I know when I first heard homemade cards, I immediately sprang to, okay, construction paper folded in half,
Yeah.
I
First of
was
all,
thinking like
construction paper is
homemade
full of acid.
cards.
Yeah.
Homemade cards.
Construction paper is full of acid, and crayons probably have acid in them. So, yes, it's way beyond that, but it isn't necessarily harder.
I have seen yours, so I know that it's way beyond the construction paper and crayons, but I'm not sure it's not harder. Okay. You're talking to somebody that's, yeah, but they
Well,
are.
you taught me Canva, and I can teach you card making.
Good luck with that. Now, I found out something about you that I don't know that anybody else knows, and you do calligraphy?
Yes, I do calligraphy for hire. I have done a lot of it, not for pay, for my church. When they receive a new Bible, I put in there who it came from, the date, all of that in calligraphy. And I have done the churches. Oh, what do you call it? It's kind of like, I don't want to make it sound very corporate, but like a mission statement of the church. And so I've done that in calligraphy, and it's on the wall as you go into the sanctuary. I do wedding invitations. I do wedding vows that can either be scrapbooked or they can be framed and put on the wall, or put on your desk, whatever, however you want to remember it. I have done calligraphy when this one guy that I know in local trade partners was going to have his first granddaughter, and he wrote out this quite long thing for his granddaughter to read when she's older, but he gave it to her with a piece of jewelry that he had commissioned. But I did that entire like letter to his granddaughter in calligraphy, and I did a family tree that went with it, so that she's got all of that as she grows up, to give the story, from her grandfather. I'm trying to think. I've just done calligraphy. Oh, certificates of appreciation. When a company thanks their volunteers. For example, if the LPGA wants to thank all the volunteers out there working in right now at the Walmart LPGA, they could have me do calligraphy with their names, the individuals' names. And I've just done all kinds of things like that. Another person had his wife was given, when she had their first baby, a certificate from the hospital with the baby's footprints, but there was room for other things on it. And I did the baby had a very long name, and I did the entire name in calligraphy. And he took this calligraphy and put it with some other things, like probably the little bracelet that they put on the baby and things like that. All of those, he made a shadow box of it. And then he posted it on Facebook and let everybody know who did it, who did the calligraphy, which was really nice. So there's just all kinds of things that can be done with calligraphy.
Is it hard to learn? Because that is one thing that has always intrigued me, but it just looks difficult. Do you teach it? Is it hard?
Yes, I teach a very simple one. I do not like the calligraphy that is so flowery you cannot read it. My calligraphy, as I recall, can be on the front of a wedding invitation envelope and be read by the optical character reader that the post office has. So it's simple enough that they can read it. And I teach it, and I usually have it set up for 3 or 4 sessions of an hour or so. And I had one friend who took it once, and she was already doing calligraphy after that and didn't need any more sessions. So you're using a lot of the same strokes for most of the lettering. So it is not difficult.
Wow, so you just do all this stuff. So if I wanted to get you to do a Route 66 travel album for me, what does that run basically? What does that cost?
Okay. First of all, I would want to know approximately how many photos you think will be in there. And I can get 100 photos with limited journaling in an 8x8 album, and that might cost $100 to $200 And that's assuming you print the photos. And if it's going to be an extensive album where you need 12 by 12, the album itself with 30 pages, which means 60 fronts and backs, is going to be about $100 just for the album and the pages and page protectors. And then everything I do from there on with the big albums, it runs $25 an hour, which means I can do 6 faces for $25. So you can kind of do the math from there. And it doesn't have to have all 30 pages in it. I've done it. It's either 15 or 30. So it's either 30 fronts and backs or 60 fronts and backs. If it gets beyond that, that's when you go to the second album.
Okay. And about how long does it take for you to get one done?
Well, that one that was 7 albums was a process that took almost exactly a year. And I was doing that at the same time as I was working 60 hours a week at H&R Block doing taxes. So I would come home and relax by working on scrapbooking for other people. But the little albums, it just varies by the time of the year and how much information and photos you give me at one time. But sometimes it can be, in a couple weeks or a month.
Okay.
For a smaller album.
And if I, excuse me, if I just wanted to learn to do it myself, what do your classes cost? If I come to your introductory class and it's like, okay, I just want to learn to do this for myself, how much does that cost?
Well, I would have you come to, for scrapbooking, I would have you come to my church, and our session is once a month, 7 hours. It's $2 because we just give the $2 to the church. And I don't charge for what I teach, and neither does the other lady that I do this with.
Oh.
The card making is a little different. I do it at a different location, and like I said, that's 2 cards for $5. So not very expensive to get started.
If I wanted you to make cards for me, what do you charge to make cards?
That is varying. I would say the least expensive is $5. Right now, Hallmark cards are starting to run anywhere. The nice cards, some of them, and they're not even as nice as mine, it's $8 from Hallmark. Their wedding cards are $8 and not as nice as mine. But I would say $5 and on up. But they're going to be nicer for you to send to somebody than anything you can send from Hallmark.
And how much lead time do you need to, if I wanted like if I wanted Christmas cards, am I too late?
No, but you better do it soon. Yes, I am signing up people right now. I've already signed up one company. I'm doing for the 2nd year in a row, I'm creating a Christmas and a Hanukkah card and handwriting the inside message for all of this company's clients and vendors. And so those will get done first. And then the next person or company that hires me, theirs will be next.
Okay.
But I would say I'm not going to take anything past the end of October.
Okay, so if you want cards, you better get on it and get it fast.
Yeah. And if I'm using an idea I already do, that I can crank out faster than if you want A, personalized, or B, very, very fancy. I have some fancy looking ones that are just, I do them in such large volumes that is not an issue. I do both Christian and secular cards that I can crank out pretty fast.
So are cards like scrapbooks? Is there like special paper, special glue, special stuff, special
Yep.
Special stuff?
Exactly the same. Yeah, exactly the same adhesives, exactly the same paper, exactly the same cardstock. I've got certain companies that I rely on the quality of what they put out. And yeah, a lot of my papers are interchangeable between my card making and my scrapbooking.
Sweet. Well, this has actually been very fascinating. So like I said, I've never really considered scrapbooking much until I saw the graduation with all. I was like, if for nothing, it would be
Let's
nice
remedy
for
that.
nothing else than to have all her little graduation photos. It would be like, because like I said, I have no idea where they are. I mean, I know they're probably here somewhere, but in an album somewhere.
Yeah.
But so why that? Yeah, why is that? I have photo albums, like just photo albums. Why is that not good enough? Why scrapbooks?
Okay. I'll give you two reasons. One is they probably are not archival safe. And I have redone more than one photo album from when I was growing up that was either done by my mother or by me. I've taken all those photos out, including peeling them off of magnetic pages and having to use dental floss to get them off of the magnetic pages, because that is pure acid and ruins the backs of the photos. So you just try to retain the fronts. So that's the first reason. And the second reason is, again, going back to the idea of if you look at photos on your phone or on your computer, there's no backstory, there's no explanation. You have to be there to explain it to somebody, every little thing. Whereas if they're looking at an album, there's journaling in there that tells the story. And it doesn't have to be a lot of journaling, but enough of the story, especially if there's a funny story to it. You always want to get the funny stories in there.
Okay, so you just used a term that I am not familiar with. What is it? Archival safe? What does that mean?
That's acid free. I in another archival safe piece, I have ordered, because I have some artwork that's very valuable. I have ordered frames from a certain company that even the glass is archival safe. It is going to protect from not only sun, but from lighting in somebody's home. And so there's just things you want to do to protect photos or artwork. And a lot of times I include artwork in the scrapbooks that I do for people. For example, my great granddaughter, all of her artwork that she has sent to us, if it's too big for the 8x8 album, then I take photos and put the photo in there. But if it's not too big, it goes in the 8x8 album. So all of that is mounted into a little 8x8 album that I'll give her when she gets older.
It sounds cute. Well, now I'm wishing I'd actually saved all of them. My daughters are always looking at me going, don't you still, because they are both kind of, they have everything. They keep all that stuff. And I'm just not that person. And they look at me, don't you have this from what? No. Okay. No.
Uh-oh.
Well, when you move
Well,
every
like you
4
said,
years.
you had to move.
Yeah.
You had to move a lot.
When you move every
Are
4 years.
your daughters pretty well planted, so they're not having to move all the time?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. One, her husband just retired from the military, so they're pretty settled in. So she probably doesn't have quite as much because they were also military. But my other
Right.
daughter, yeah, they're just, she's the artsy crafty person in the family, and she would just absolutely, yeah. Okay. She's the DIYer in the crowd. She's always sending me pictures of this and that and something else that she's done, and
That's neat.
just not me. So yeah, she's probably got all of this stuff saved, because she does. She looks at me all the time and, don't you have that? For somebody just showed me something from, that they saved from their child. Don't you have mine? No.
Oh no. She's making you feel bad.
I think she knows the answer
Well,
now. She knows the answer is no, so she's kind of stopped asking. But after listening to
that's
all this,
good.
it makes me feel like I wish I'd have figured out some way to keep it, especially after getting this stuff from my aunt with my, because seeing my grandmother with all of my uncles and my dad was just like, this is cool, because some of my uncles passed when I was still very young, so I don't really have good memories of them. And now, to have that
Yeah,
photo of her with all of her sons is like, it's pretty cool. So, and knowing that if
maybe
I
we can
don't
make
preserve
something
that
of that.
properly now, it might not be around in a few years. So I will definitely probably be calling you up for that, because I would
Right.
like to preserve that and the family tree she sent me, because that would be very cool. But
Yes.
I have learned a lot. I may take up
Well,
card making, probably not scrapbooking.
that's okay.
But I know how to reach you when I'm ready for one. Card making might be okay. Like I said, I do my own cards on Canva. I prefer making my own cards instead of buying them in the store, because I just don't like them. So yeah, send me an invitation to your next card class. I would be
I
intrigued
will.
by that. Well, this has been
Okay,
awesome,
sounds
Miss
good.
Beverly. I thank you so much, and I'm sure everybody's been fascinated by learning all the ins and outs about scrapbooking, because I didn't know it was such a process. Like I said, I just go down to Walmart and buy a scrapbook, glue stuff in it, and figured we'd be good to go. And I have learned since then that not necessarily so. And now I'm going to go look at my photo albums, and because they are magnetic pages, so it's like,
Oh, no.
can I
That's the
get these?
first project, is to lift those photos from those albums.
Yeah, and these are all from when my daughters were young, so I would like to
Yep.
keep those and give them to, give it to them. So yeah, I'm headed for the closet to drag out all the photo albums and see, can I get
Sounds
them
like
out
a
of
good
there?
idea. Sounds good.
Well, thank you, Miss Beverly. This has been fun. We're going to share the link to Beverly, so that if you want to hit her up for anything, scrapbooking, classes, card making, calligraphy, all of the things that she teaches and does, I will put a link to her in the description so that you can reach out to her. And Beverly, this has been amazing. I thank you so much. It
Thank
was
you.
way more to it than I ever thought. So I have learned a
Well, you
lot
asked a
about
lot
it.
of good questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And everybody, if you liked what you heard from us today, Beverly's classes on scrapbooking, card making, all that information, make sure you like and subscribe, because Rebel Tribe is all about highlighting women who are doing very cool and interesting things. And so like, subscribe, hit that little bell to get notified, because there's more coming. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you. Yay, Rebel Tribe.